What is up, everybody? I'm Courtney.
I'm Sean.
We're Hill City Paranormal, otherwise
HCP,
known
baby.
as HCP Paranormal Podcast.
Wow.
So, unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances and adulthood, our guests are not able to join us tonight. So, we have turned this into a live Q&A / open discussion. If you get in this podcast, definitely comment. Let us know that you're here.
Over.
You what? I am so tired of you. You don't
ever give me no.
We have a tech guy up for sale. We got a tech guy up for sale, y'all.
I can't breathe.
I'm gonna fight him on live. If y'all want to see me fight this man on live,
get your ass with
comment. Because today is not the day. Anyway, we'll wait a couple minutes for some people to tune in. We're going to talk about several topics tonight. We're going to start with this past weekend. We went on an investigation. We'll let you know how that was. We're going to talk about, what is paranormal? I think that's like paranormal? I think that's like the number one question that, a lot of people throw that word around like paranormal investigators, but what is it?
I'm an investigator.
We're also going to talk about pareidolia.
Yes.
That is a very hot topic right now. I think we've all been subjected to that at some point. If you zoom in far enough, something's going to be there.
You got to zoom all the way in and make sure you circle it in red.
Yeah,
it's got to be in red. If it's not circled in red, you didn't see it.
That's right. There's nothing there if it's not circled in red.
It's got to be circled, though, so everybody can make sure you see what it is.
We're also going to talk a little bit about some equipment, how it may malfunction.
As long as we don't talk about a REM pod, I'm good.
And things like that. Howie. Oh, is that a comment that you want to see me fight him on live?
I'm going to put in a headlock. I ain't got no room, Howie. Look at this. Like, half my face is on off camera. Because Courtney's just over here eating.
Scoot over.
What are you eating?
Ice.
Oh.
Hey, Ronnie.
What's up, Ronnie?
We got a few people in here. All right. So we can go ahead and
just in case you missed it, we're talking about how Courtney's REM pod sucks. And how Courtney has a severe case of pareidolia.
Oh, well, now I've got pareidolia.
And how she thinks everything in the pictures that are zoomed in.
I am the first person. I'm going to tell you what.
Courtney thinks that every time her REM pod...
Rhonda, please come help me. Can you come help me?
Hey, Rhonda, shout out FPR.
Oh, my God.
How Courtney
FPR. FPR.
I said FPRI.
Aha. There's an I.
Fredericksburg Paranormal Research and Investigations. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, how Courtney thinks every time her REM pod blinks, it's a ghost touching it.
That's right.
How every time Courtney... Oh, Rhonda, please don't come after me. Listen. I'm sorry. Everything I said is very true, by the way. Let's see what else. How Courtney likes to whisper during EVP sessions.
Oh my God, that is true. So, y'all, I am the first person. Don't do an EVP around me because for some reason, like in my mind, I don't whisper. I'm a loudmouth. Anybody that knows me in real life, like outside of this podcast,
during EVP sessions.
This is a serious issue. So like, I think whenever I'm in like a quiet location and somebody's doing an EVP, like they say, like, I'm getting ready to do an EVP. I know in my brain, like, don't whisper, but it's so quiet and we're waiting for the response. So then I go, are
you done? Yeah, that's what gets caught on the EVP and everything.
So this weekend, let's back it up.
I feel weird with these glasses. Hold
on. That's glasses. Okay. You get up with Courtney. I got Sean's bags. Let's do this tag team.
Team back again.
No, me and Rhonda will smoke you two.
No.
Yes.
No.
I called at the librarian in effect. Yes. Ronnie's laughing at me. Ronnie, you are going to hear something that I am going to publicly say. So
Ronnie, by the way, I was reviewing evidence and I got a video of the bat. And let me tell you.
Oh my God. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Hold on.
It's hilarious.
Hold on. So let me back this up.
Glasses, man. These glasses,
let me back this up.
Like you in the black version.
Let me back this up. This past Saturday, we were invited by Bedford Paranormal, and they were amazing hosts.
Oh, yeah, shout out to Bedford Paranormal, by the way.
Sorry, I had to mute for a second and yell knock it off at the dogs. They were I have 2 tag team champions for those that don't know. But anyway, long story short.
Ouch.
We were at St. Albans Sanatorium. I found out this weekend there is a difference. So put it in the comments because I did not research this. There's a difference between a sanitarium and a sanatorium.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So if you know the difference, please put it in the comments because I have not Googled this and I don't know why.
You can educate some people.
Yes. Anyway, it started out kind of slow. I'm gonna be honest. Like the tour was phenomenal. Like I had all these things in my head. I'm like, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But it was like once we got our gear and we started,
pounds, the tour was horrible.
we were out of breath. But once we got our gear and we were like trying to come up with a game plan, it was like we were stumped. Like, where do you want to go? I want to go here. I want to go here. I want to go everywhere. But that is an absolute must go back because it is impossible. I don't care who you are. It is impossible to do it all in one night. So,
not if you're a real investigator. If you're a ghost hunter, you can do it all in one night.
Well,
if you're an investigator,
it takes time. Anyway, long story short, we did the electrotherapy section, waiting area, actual electroshock room, and the recovery room. I believe it, Ronnie. We only covered a third of the building. I believe it.
I wouldn't even say
we obviously had to jump on the bandwagon. Everybody says the hot spot is the bowling alley. Sean was actually drawn to the bathroom that's down that hallway, so he did a solo session in there. I decided to offer my friend Smokey a cigarette. He didn't want one. But that's okay. I did find a very rather large spider in there that was dangling down, and I had like the little Miss Muffet rhyme in my head. I was like, this thing is going to eat me. But anyway, so while we were in the bowling alley, I was conducting an EVP session, and those aren't the only places that we went. Here we go. How we got it. Hold on. Let me back up. Sanatoriums with an OR served people with tuberculosis, and sanitariums with an AR were for people. Where's the rest of it? People with, I'm going to say people with probably psychological issues. But anyway, so while we were in the bowling alley, I decided to conduct an EVP session. While I was doing an EVP session, another team member of ours was also running her recorder at the same time, because we have found, and we've discussed this on prior podcasts, there's different sound frequencies, different apps that will pick up things that don't normally pick up things. And as a third caution, Sean was running his body cam as well, because we've also been on investigations where the body cam has picked up stuff that my recorder has not. So we had that whole like trifecta going on of things. So I played, after my EVP session, I played my EVP back, don't hear anything. Okay. Our other team member played her EVP back and caught a whisper at the very end. Okay. I heard hurry. She heard Marie. So then we decided to play it for a few other people. Somebody else heard hurry. Somebody else couldn't make it out. And then somebody else also heard hurry. So I was like, well, that's not very intelligent. Like, that didn't actually make sense to the questions I was asking. But I was like, you never know. Maybe somebody wanted us to hurry and get the hell out of there. All right. So when we got home, we could not wait to review the body cam, because the body cam is super sensitive. So here we go. This is my confession on live. Okay. 8:09 p.m. on August the 6th. The whisper that was captured on the EVP was me. At the very end, I was the one conducting the EVP session. I whispered, all right, and cut my EVP recorder off. So when I whispered that, it was not picked up on my recorder. It was picked up on the other person that was recording. And then Sean was facing me with the body cam, so you can actually see me mouth the word, all right. And I think I said something like alrighty or something. And so when you play it back through the body cam, it sounded like it said hurry, but it was me saying alrighty or something to that effect. So I'm going to let Sean take the lead on this one because we came home and we decided to do a bunch of EVP research on like the psychological effects of if you're watching a video, okay, and the video that sticks out to me is if you read the word on the screen, that's what you're going to hear in the EVP. And the video that stuck out was the two words were green needle and brainstorm. And depending on what word you read, once he played the EVP, that's what you heard. So I even actually went so far as to cover up one of the words and read the opposite word. And I really did hear that. So why is that, Sean? Like, why does that happen?
Well, I'm not going to go as far as the details why. There's a million reasons why. We're going to have to get very scientific if we talk about that. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, but, I will let people who are interested research that. But it's really an effect on the brain. It's how you perceive and how you hear. Like you said, we let several people hear that when we thought it was an EVP. And a lot of people heard Maria. Some people heard a voice. Some people heard a whisper. And again, it's when it comes to investigating, we're publicly sitting here telling you we debunked ourselves. We're sitting here telling you that everything, we were all excited when we thought it was an EVP, and then we get back on camera and see that it wasn't. And we didn't have to say this out loud. We didn't have to tell you this. And people that heard the EVP and people that were with us, we're publicly telling everybody that. So brain takes over.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So when you're watching a lot of these investigators who throw these videos out there, I don't know why they put the word on the screen because that's the word you hear. But when it goes into when you're at an investigation and you hear a word, I like for if I'm getting a second opinion on something and an investigator, I'll throw him out there. Ronnie, what's up, Chuck? Chuck's a fellow team member with Hill City. Ronnie sent me some evidence and said, "Tell me what you think." He didn't point out to me what it was. He didn't ask me, "Hey, did you see that over there?" He didn't do that. He just said, "Tell me what you think." And that's in my opinion, that's the best way to determine whether you have evidence or not. If you have to send me something, pinpointing, highlighting, telling me exactly what it is,
circling it in red.
And that's the same thing with pictures. Like a lot of people will send me a picture of something zoomed all the way in with a circle around it and an arrow pointing to it and say, "See the face." And I'm like, okay, I see a face. But if you sent me, that right there, pictures pixelate. The more you zoom in on pictures, you got to be careful with evidence when you're messing with it. Pictures are very tricky. When you zoom all the way in and expand and stuff like that, you got to be careful with that. But back to the EVP thing, we'll get to that maybe later. I just want to say, be careful when you're with your team and you're saying things because you will pick it up. These recorders are sensitive. And that was with a cell phone recorder. I didn't even break out my personal recorder because I never get anything with them. However, when I was in the bathroom, solo, all the light, I didn't have any lights on in there. I did get a phantom footstep sitting beside me, and I did hear something sounded like a whisper. I couldn't make out what that was, and nobody was in there with me. That was pretty cool.
Oh, and the bowling balls.
Oh, and in the bowling.
We believe.
In the bowling alley, we did hear something about I forgot.
I asked the question, "Can you roll me the ball?"
Yeah, can you roll me the ball? What's up, Daryl?
Hey, Daryl.
Yeah, and we heard the bowling pins or whatever, and that was pretty cool.
And in the background, you could hear it almost sounded like the bowling ball either hit. There was multiple bowling balls at the end of the bowling lane, and it almost sounded like two balls clashing, or maybe like the ball hitting a pin, or something like that. That was caught, and we actually go back again. The greatest thing is I ask on the EVP, "Do you want to play a round of bowling with me? Can you roll me the ball?" And then that's when you could hear the bowling ball hitting something. And Sean has a clear shot down the lanes that nobody was down there, nor did the balls move. So I don't know how would one, like, I mean, how did that happen.
Well,
hey, Michael.
Well, the reason.
Hey, Ryan.
One reason why I wanted to bring that up. What's up, guys? Ryan Jones, shout out. Cabin on 360. Michael Brooks, FPRI. That's one thing I wanted to kind of discuss with the fellow investigators in this room. Residual, good. That's a possibility, Ronnie. But that's one thing I wanted to bring up amongst the fellow investigators in this room, and those of you who aren't investigators. I did share this on my personal page. I know you can get phantom voices in EVP. That's very interesting. But what about phantom noises like footsteps or when nobody's in the room with you? Like, and another example, cannon fire. Gettysburg,
we did have that discussion.
Phantom cannon fire. Now,
gunshots.
Gunshots. Now, your skeptics will say, well, somebody could have shot a cannon in the distance, or somebody could have let off a musket in the distance.
At 4 a.m.?
At 4 a.m., highly unlikely. You're talking to a guy who's done Civil War reenactment. You're talking to a guy who shoots authentic Civil War muskets. So I know what they sound like when they go off. I know what black powder sounds like. I know what the echo is going to sound like in the distance. Now, my question is, at 4 a.m., who's letting off a Civil War musket? Let's say, as Rhonda said one time for shits and giggles, let's say somebody did let off a musket at 4 a.m. So somebody loaded up black powder, bam, shot a musket off. And I know the difference between an empty musket and then the difference between a loaded musket. I know the difference in sound. So this one was like a live fire musket. And the echo, it was a boom. And the echo came and then it stopped, like something like it was on a recorder and it cut off. It was a weird sound, like it was a completely different sound than I've ever heard. What's in the back, like what's going on in the paranormal realm where you can hear noises? I understand the voices, like I get that. Spirits trying to communicate, but someone explain the noises, like footsteps, cannon fire. People have heard all kind of stuff. Other than voices.
I mean, Ryan said they heard cannon fire in the woods behind the cabin at 1 a.m. They've also heard drumming in the woods as
Ryan,
well.
You let me hear that before, the drumming in the woods. I think you've let me hear that on a recorder before.
But to go back to Ronnie,
though?
Ronnie said if it was residual.
Excuse me for a second, I'll be right back.
If it was residual, why would it happen when you asked it to roll the ball? That's a good question. That's what I'm asking. Residual hauntings are the hardest type of hauntings to explain to anybody. And for those that are in here that are not seasoned investigators or are tuning in because of curiosity or whatever, there's multiple different types of hauntings. You've got residual, you've got intelligent, things like that. Do I consider that to be intelligent? I don't know. Well, I don't know, because I asked it, can you roll me the ball? And then we picked up like the noise of a bowling ball hitting a pin or a bowling ball hitting the other ball, which could at that point fall into the intelligent hauntings because it was, interacting with the present. But could we have been picking up residual? Like, that's just the noises. Like, do you believe that a building can capture noises like from the past?
Well, buildings maybe, but what about cannon fire or drumming in the woods? I mean, I heard Ryan's EVP. I remember he let me hear that, or he sent it to me, one of the two. And that was crazy because that wasn't even in the distance sound, and that sounded like he was right there at it.
See, and that's what I'm saying. Nobody knows the time between the loop of activity. Cannon fire, you never know if a cannon was fired at night at some point. We weren't there to verify. That's what I'm saying. Like, almost like the building or the location captures that, like a still image, almost, or like a still, like, I don't know. But it would make sense to hear bowling balls or bowling pins falling or things like that in a bowling alley that's reportedly haunted. I mean, other than those small few things, I mean,
well, this is like, to me, it's what makes me curious is how does something capture sound? That's the crazy part to me. like I said, I understand the voices. I mean, it's interesting to me how that catches on EVP, but to capture noises, now that one I would love to hear the theories on that. Like you seasoned investigators in here, I'd love to hear your theory on that. I know some of you are watching and looking, some of you might be falling asleep, but this is an open discussion.
Well, Ryan just had a good point. How many times do you have to do something in a location for it to become a residual haunting? I do know that those things have to be repetitive. Like it has to be. It makes sense to hear cannon fire on a battlefield because there was a whole battle fought. There wasn't just one cannon going off, one musket going off. It was, at some battlefields days, at some just a few hours. But either way, it was a repetitive noise. So that makes sense. Much like the bowling alley, if there were people that earned the privilege at this location to be able to go down and utilize the bowling alley, that is a repetitive noise that would be heard in that bowling alley. Is it emotional or is it just repetitive, something happening over and over?
So could it be something happening in a different life, maybe? Is that what your suggestion?
I don't know.
I mean, we're all going to find out.
I get what you're saying. That's a good question.
Like, could it be a different life that they're living on the other side?
Or what if that's like the last thing they did? Like, okay, so
I did talk to somebody who communicated with the dead, and they said that this person was at a cookout when that's what they were doing on the other side. So, are we able to capture? There is life on the other side. We've all, I think, captured a piece of that. So if there's another dimension or if there's something that's going on, are we able to capture a moment of that? Like, is there civil war still going on 160 some years later? Or is that what's happening? And we're able to capture a moment of that possibly? Or
I mean, Ryan had a good point here. If a murder takes place or something tragic, then it sticks to the property. So I think that's like, I think we're going into two
Ryan's
different.
That before with the DVPs.
I think we're going into like two different realms there. So, like, if you have something tragic that takes place somewhere, it sticks to the property. So this is why a lot of phantom cannon fire, phantom gunshots are going off on battlefields because that was a tragic time. Blood was shed and seeped into the land and permanently stained. Like you cannot take those memories away.
They even say the grass grows greener from the bodies that rotted in the ground.
Right.
The nutrients.
But there are scientific reasons to get a voice. But as far as residual noises, cannon fire, musket fire, etc., I'll have to look into it. Good question. Yes, I am. Yeah. I am genuinely curious about this because I know the textbook definitions of residual hauntings. I know the textbook definition of intelligent, but I don't want to hear it from a textbook. I want to know. Yeah, I want to know what y'all feel about that. Yeah. Yes, the property is stained. Exactly. And in a lot of sanitariums, whatever, asylums, there was a lot of tragedy. Essentially, the patients were experiments. And that's it. We still, to this day, and I can speak this loud, proud, and clear as somebody who works in the mental health field, every day is a learning experience. Every single day. An
experiment, so to speak.
You know what I'm saying? So, we just don't work in the side where we're about to perform lobotomies and electroshock therapy and things like that. But I did take a psychology class in college, and I remember them telling the story about the cheese and the mice. They put the mice in the maze and they put the cheese at the end of the maze. And if the mouse went the wrong way, it got shocked. So it knew to turn around and not go that way. And it would try to go back that way and get shocked again. And after a few times of going right when it should have gone left and getting shocked, it said pretty much, F this, I'm not going right anymore. I'm going left because every time I go right, I get shocked. Humans are it's believed that humans are the same way. If I walk up to my stove when it's on and I touch it and it's hot, I'm like, shit, that's hot. So I don't want to touch it again while the stove's on as a child. As an adult, we get a little bit different with that. If I cut the burner off and I want to put something on the stove, I'm gonna kind of tap it a little bit. Okay, are you hot? All right, now it's still a little too warm to put this, plate on there. Tap, tap, tap. Things like that. We'll dabble more into adulthood, but the things that are embedded in us, like don't touch a hot stove or
yeah, but they were shocking people for different reasons, though.
Right.
They were shocking the illness out of people because they didn't know about mental health. If you were born and we have the illnesses today, like autism, they didn't know what that was. That's one illness today. And I wouldn't even call it an illness. I don't want to call it that. But that's one thing that's going on today, because autism is so it's like here.
There's different levels,
so many different levels of autism. So that if you rewind back in a time, somebody that's autistic, they didn't know what it was, so they thought that if I shock them, I could start shocking this out of them and regular, making them regular, fix them, and lobotomy stuff like that. They were trying to fix people. A lot of it wasn't really to be evil. Some doctors did, but a lot of it was to try to fix people and not realizing they're torturing the hell out of people to do it.
Right.
And I'm not laughing at it by no way. I'm laughing at how crazy that thought process was. Right. They didn't know. But
a lot of people got dropped off for other reasons too, like a teen pregnancy.
Yeah.
You got dropped off at an asylum for that. That's unheard of. And then if you go back even like further, if you had a teen who was pregnant, she was a witch.
Yeah.
Now she's being burnt after the birth of her child. Look at that lady in Savannah that we, heard the stories about, the star-crossed lovers, so to speak.
Let's go into that. I'm glad you brought that up. But
hold on. I was going to say, let's catch up. Rhonda said, so when you get into traumatic events too, it is said that when something traumatic happens, like murder, a piece of that soul is lost there in that space. And I'm going to let you go. There was somebody that recently passed away that made the most excellent
Looking at that
point.
Comment just gave me chills, actually.
Yeah, made the most excellent point about
just said that.
Us taking up space. And what did he say?
He said pretty much the same thing. He said, while I'm here on Earth, I'm taking up space. So when I pass away, and then he said this a week before he died. That's why it gave me chills to read that. He said he was on the phone with me, and he's actually was the least person I would expect. When I told him I was an investigator, I never wanted to tell him that because he's so religious and he was so spiritual. And he was just one of those people that he was one of those Bible. He really believed in that whole religious stuff thing. And I am too. Don't get me wrong when I say that. I'm a Christian guy myself. I know you never would think it, but he just was one of those people that I would never want to talk about this stuff. So when I finally talked to him about it, he kind of chuckled and he said, when I'm here, I'm taking up space on this earth. And that's one thing that it can never change. My space, my energy is here on earth.
My soul leaves my body.
When I die, my soul will leave my body, but my energy is always here. Like that's never going to go away. And so he's like, my soul is a piece of this space. Like my space is here. Like, so that's nothing's going to take that space up. And it was like, I'm probably saying it a lot worse than that, but the way he broke it down to a science was phenomenal. So, reading that actually gave me chills. But
I agree with that though, Rhonda. Now, Ryan said, we also
get sexual residual hauntings in the cabin, emotional stuff. Ryan, it's crazy you say that too. Some of the things that what's crazy about that was a week before we investigated the last time the cabin, the exact same stuff y'all got, we got almost like identical evidence on some of the apps y'all were using. And
we heard the Help Me,
the Scream.
Yeah, that was some of the stuff you do capture at the cabin is emotional, but sexual residual hauntings, I have not heard of that.
No, he told us about the stuff that happened in the actual cabin, with the prostitution stuff that was going on.
Oh well, yeah,
and yeah, we didn't get anything in.
I haven't heard it yet with my own ears, but
the actual cat, we were more in the rancher. But the weirdest thing that we got in there, the EVP watch. Was the little kid singing along to my music box.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was pretty wild. None of us had that voice or vocal range. I think I sent that to you, Ryan. If I didn't, let me know in the comments and I will send it to you. But
Butterfly said I always come in on the wild stuff.
yeah,
It's always a wild ride.
Yes.
Chuck said I think some are trapped in a certain point in time. I agree with that too.
Yeah, I think some people relive their
Ronnie said different on the spectrum levels. Absolutely. Autism is such a wide spectrum. I know somebody who's autistic and you could never tell it. Genius level. Ronnie, believe it or not, some of the barbaric things that were done decades ago have brought us to where we are today. Let me elaborate on that a little bit. So, yes, you are correct. This is the prime definition of medical technology and evolvement in the medical world. As somebody that has worked in the medical field since I was 18, I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Y'all aren't going to trap me into that. But
51.
Oh, bullshit. Anyway, as somebody that's been here, like for that ride, like just the amount of the technological advances in the medical world is just phenomenal to me. So, I mean, we went to not understanding, or I don't even know if they back in the day called it autism or attention deficit disorder or oppositional defiant disorder or bipolar disorder. It was just, you got something wrong with you. Let me do all these experiments and try to get it out of you because we don't know how to do this, And then I was not versed on the hydrotherapy where they would put you in an ice bath and then take you out directly and put you into a scalding hot bath because, they're going to, I don't know, wash it away.
Another form of shock treatment.
Yeah,
actually,
they're going to wash you away or whatever. So
it's shocking it out of you.
Ronnie said, "I have an autistic son."
Well, actually, having an autistic family member helps you learn more about autism more than anything, because you're dealing hands-on with it. And Ron, I have 3 autistic brothers, and that's actually one thing that helped me a lot, learning from them. Even working in the mental health field to this day, so I'm right there with you. It also helps me with paranormal investigating as well. Working in the mental health field, it helps you understand energy and people a lot better. So I'm right there with you, bro.
All right. So Butterfly said, I think if the energy is still here, wouldn't there be some residual emotional energy attached, be it sad, angry, etc.? I do agree with that.
100.
And then she brought up something awesome. That is a big thing. A lot of people got admitted into asylums and things like that for seizure disorder.
Yep.
And people did not know what it was, did not know that, there was some wires that were crossed wrong upstairs and caused them to actually have a medical issue. So yes. Then we got Dustin asking us if we heard of Just Gooby. Apparently Just Gooby is a pedophile. Who knows?
Oh, this is for you, Dustin. Bang bang. That's for you.
Great Cactus Jack shirt. I don't know who Just Gooby is. I don't think I would affiliate with somebody named Just Gooby.
I don't know who Just Gooby is, but because he knows who it is on the shirt, that's for you. Those of y'all who know who Cactus Jack is, y'all know what that means.
But yes, Ronnie, the shock you system, so there was a variety of reasons that people got dropped off at these type of places. So I can only imagine. And I put a post on Facebook for those of you that are friends with me that said, if walls could talk, this would be the place to sit and listen.
That's what we do, is talk to walls.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
Sometimes
stories,
they talk back.
The stories that are there, are crazy. Which leads me into my next point that I know Sean wants to talk about right now.
Oh God.
Locations that we have heard so many rumors about, like
these rumors.
Like, for example, okay, St. Albans, they have a room called Rebecca's room. For those that have not been to St. Albans, Rebecca was a patient there.
Here we go.
They're not sure if she came in pregnant, got pregnant. Either way, she was pregnant. She miscarried. She put her baby in a jar and hid the jar in the wall until she was ratted out by a fellow resident. And the nurse took the baby, and Rebecca committed suicide.
I think that's how the story
And that was a complete summary, you guys. But prior to going to this location, I did hear about Rebecca. come to find out from some of the historians and other people that frequent this location, I'm sorry, my crackhead dog / child over here. Anyway, from some of the historians and some of the people that frequent this location, there is actually no document of a patient named Rebecca that had a miscarriage that stuffed her baby in a jar. Like, this story was not documented. But me being the person that plays the devil's advocate, I always say there's a lot of records. And for those that don't know, too, St. Albans is actually still has a functioning ward over at a nearby hospital. So a lot of the records that were there are still sealed tight due to HIPAA. I mean, there's federal regulations on this stuff. So there could be a Rebecca. We just have not seen it, and it has not been found to be documented. The stories that are told at this location were told by either prior employees or other people. So I know you wanted to touch a little bit on like rumors of things that happened at locations. So can you kind of go into that?
Yeah, just as fellow investigators and people, I'm not sure who's all in here. I can't see the whole list of people, but just as fellow investigators, be mindful of the stories you tell. Make sure they're accurate, and if you're going to tell a story about a location, that it is fact and documented. For example, the cabin on the 360. That place, you can look it up. It's in the newspaper articles. It's documented what happened there. The names are documented. The people involved are documented history. The stuff that happened at other locations, and I'm not going to name them because I don't know all the facts to name everything that happened there. Just make sure if you're going to tell a story to somebody that it's accurate. If somebody asks me about, and I'll answer that in just a second, Dustin. I do got a lot of theories about that, but the things that happened at, for example, I'll bring up St. Albans. So that's my most recent investigation. I can tell you that I was communicating with something. Something was responding to things. I had other people who witnessed what the events that were going on there. I can tell you that there was an energy in that place. And, a lot of people think that equipment is the only thing that defines something paranormal happening. I'll tell you, I work in the mental health field. That's no secret. We mentioned that on every podcast. Y'all probably getting tired of hearing it. But to the extent a lot of y'all don't know, I work hands-on with mentally disabled people in a group home setting. And so I've been inside of functioning mental institutions. And I'll tell you, going into St. Albans, I had the same feeling of when I walked into a functioning mental institution. And to me, to be able to feel the same energy from the patients that were living, going into somewhere that's been closed down for years, to me, that's paranormal. If I could feel that same energy from the dead as I can the living, that's paranormal. I've walked into homes before and felt nothing. Walk into a new house, you don't feel any energy. You feel nothing. I walked into the most haunted locations, allegedly, in Virginia and felt nothing. But I've walked into places and felt heavy presence. To me, that's paranormal. It doesn't have to be a REM pod going off.
I'm not entertaining this.
It doesn't have to be a K2 spiking for it to necessarily be paranormal. We are our own piece of equipment. To get to, I'm going to jump to Ronnie, but Dustin, I'm getting to you. Give me just 1 second. My theory on some activity, St. Albans stuff was brought there. From the time the building sat dormant, people broke in and no telling what they brought in. I mean, a lot of places too, Ronnie, it's not even the building or place that's haunted. It's the objects and things that are there that make the building haunted. I do believe that, yes. To Dustin, Chris Benoit. Those of y'all who don't know who Chris Benoit is, you think home?
Oh, sorry.
I got to go to Stone Cold. Stone Cold should turn heel.
Apparently, we're a wrestling podcast.
All right, so we're gonna turn this to a wrestling podcast for a second. I'm not up to date on current wrestling. I'm an old school guy. I got a very old soul. I was probably born in the wrong decade, so I'm not sure I think Stone Cold is a great heel. I'm not sure what he is. I'll be honest with you. I don't really have any thoughts or comments on that, so to speak. I'm more of Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race. That I'm stuck in that era. I'm stuck in the early 2000s, like 2003. So we'll talk more about wrestling. Maybe I'll do a wrestling podcast. As far as the Chris Benoit, I think that the steroids he was on and no telling what other drugs he was on probably drove him insane. Plus the pressure he was on, because at that time he was having a great run with Eddie Guerrero and all those other guys. I'm sure that he was having a lot of stuff going on. Plus the accusations of his wife cheating on him with what's that guy's name? Kevin Sullivan. I'm sure there was a lot of stuff going on with that, and he probably flipped out. And once he came to his senses and realized what he'd done, that caused him to off himself. That's what I think happened. I don't think Chris Benoit was a bad person, but we all know that great people have done some bad things. I'm sure people dug into my past and know every wrong thing I've done. I wouldn't be everybody's favorite person as well, so I don't judge him.
You're somebody's favorite person?
No, probably not. But
you're Butterfly's favorite person.
Those of y'all, Butterfly hates me. but yeah, so I would love to investigate Chris Benoit's house, though.
He said
I can only imagine.
He said he would be too scared to do it.
What's that?
Dustin said he'd be too scared to sleep at Benoit's house.
I don't know what kind of activity would be there. I'm sure somebody's bought it by now, but yeah, Chris Benoit. I honestly believe that that's what happened. I honestly believe with all this, the amount of drugs, the amount of testosterone running through that man's body. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying I'm pretty sure the mental health side of things with the testosterone, he probably was battling some demons, alcohol, drugs, on top of steroid abuse, probably caused him to do some harmful things to his family. And once he came to and sobered up,
yes, Ronnie, himself, so. Don't be scared of the dead, be scared of the living.
And to be honest with you, Dustin, as far as sleeping at Benoit's house, I am more scared of people walking down the street than I am of any ghosts that I've ever encountered. And I'm pretty sure there's some things out there that can hurt me before anybody comments. But yes, so that's pretty much my answer to that question.
We missed Karen said your buddy said hi.
Karen, tell my little man I said, what's up? Keep it outlaw.
All right. And Butterfly agrees with Ronnie on people bringing things, telling what they brought in. You are correct. If you have not seen the recent movie in 2024 that was dropped called Tarot, I do highly suggest, was it Tarot? Is it Tarot?
Tarot, yeah.
Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Reading the cards and all that stuff was happening to people.
Yeah, no. What's the one where they took the Ouija board into the cemetery after hours?
I don't know.
We just watched that. Anyway, both Tarot is a good one too.
Fanatic, but I'm an old school horror
if
fan.
you bring Tarot is a good movie though. For an example, if you bring,
I wouldn't say it was good.
No, it was good for an example of what I'm about to say. If you bring in a deck of tarot cards, okay, and Rhonda's in here, she can tell you. So you're supposed to be gifted a deck of tarot cards. You're not supposed to take or use somebody else's tarot cards because they're imprinted on those tarot cards, and things like that. So I think that in places like St. Albans, it sat dormant. There's a lot of vandalism, people that broke in. There's no telling what they tried to conjure or what they put there or brought there or what kind of energy. I also think during investigations with multiple people, it depends on like what kind of energy you bring into the building yourself, and it's like the theory with alcohol. If you go out with a bunch of your friends and you're in a great mood and you're ready to party that night, you're going to probably have a good night. But if you're going out with a bunch of your friends because you're trying to get over, that ex, or you got passed up for a promotion at work and you just had a really shitty day, you're probably going to be a shitty person and have a shitty night. Like, end of story. It's your energy. You know what I'm saying? Daryl said, I think that the people can come into a location if you keep asking questions to like Rebecca at St. Albans. even if it wasn't accurate, spirits can pretend to be something that they aren't. We are going to get into that in a second because I had a whole discussion with Andrea while I was there.
Good comment.
Just to give you a response to questions you might ask, and in doing so creates a false legend. Bingo. Right there. I was discussing this while I was at St. Albans with another person that was there. When we were talking about a recent encounter that we had with a spirit, they came across a spirit box and basically, in a nutshell, said they were a friend of Sean's that he went to high school with that passed away. So Sean's going through the list of people that have passed away since high school, whether it be, a tragic accident, drugs, military. I think you had a friend that died of a tick bite, things like that. Like, he's going through the list of people and it's like not responding to those names. And so it's
probably
like,
they didn't know.
It just wasn't, there was no, so you could actually tell in this particular investigation that we did that there was something that was posing as. So I'm curious down in the comments, what would make a spirit want to pose as somebody else, like, for a reaction? You know what I'm saying? And Ronnie said, same with saging. You can't just buy a handful of sage and burn it to cleanse. You have to know what you're doing. Yes. Open the windows and don't do it around your children. They start coughing and running around.
And I believe somebody has to buy it for you.
Yes. Sage is supposed to be gifted.
There's instructions with that stuff. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, just like investigating, if you don't properly investigate, there's actually a lot of things that you might
harm. You could do more harm than good.
That you may not. Like, I mean, a lot of investigators will tell you go out with a flashlight, but they don't tell you exactly how to do it. That's why, I always recommend you get with people who do it, and go out with that person.
And that's why we offer public investigations, for you to be the investigator that night. And we're just there kind of as a guide to help you if you have any questions. But I mean, for Christ's sake, people, don't go into a location and try to cleanse that location of whatever spirit's there. Leave the spirits alone. They're there for a reason. And when you start to go in claiming that you're cleansing, you're doing more harm than good to the location, to be honest with you. There's a lot of things in the spiritual realm that we as humans will never understand, don't know about, and things like that. So, when you open a portal, and I am going to call it a portal because anytime that you're communicating with the dead, you're opening that door. You don't know exactly who's coming through. You really don't. If you set your intentions properly, I'm going to put that disclaimer on there, properly, and state, I only want to speak to, my deceased family member. Nobody else is allowed to come in. I don't want to speak to any other spirit, whatever. Like, it's all about setting your intentions out loud, or in your mind. I mean, I prefer, if I'm going to set intentions, to do it out loud because it's like a double, I'm thinking it and I'm speaking it. It's just a personal thing. But I mean, I really think that when you go in there and ask the number one question that every team asks, because I am guilty of it myself, are there any spirits in here that want to communicate? You are really opening up that can of worms. Like, I feel like they're peeking around the corner and there's like 10 of them that kind of go, me. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk. And you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know if it's evil, if it's, if it has bad intentions for you. You don't know if it's good. You don't know if it's a child. You don't know, which then turns us into ghost hunters. And so we start going with our little REM pods or whatever we're using. And we say things like, if you're a male, can you make the red light light up? If you're a female, can you touch the red circle that's on the ground? If you're under the age of 16, can you make it go beep, beep? Whatever we are saying. And then that's how we try to figure out, does it help when we have stories like Rebecca's room, Jacob's room? Yes, it does, if they're accurate.
The Woman in White, which is
what I'm saying?
Every single haunted location I've been to.
Spirits that pretend to be something they aren't are trying to gain your trust and possibly might catch you at a weak moment and can possibly do harm to you. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. That's another thing, guys. If you're out paranormal investigating, man, when they say put your big girl panties on and lace up your boots, Like, that is the realest statement that I can make to you. Like, I tell everybody, and Sean can attest to this. I don't believe. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I do not believe that a negative entity can attach to me. And here's why.
Uh-oh. That's a big statement.
It is a big statement. But here's what I always say. The devil doesn't like competition.
That's a big statement.
If you
you better retract that.
I'm not going to retract my statement. I'm going to tell you why.
You better retract that.
You have to be weak. You've got to be in there. You've got to.
I'm gonna disagree.
I said I believe one cannot attach to me. I did not say it's not possible. But I'm going to do everything in my power for a negative entity not to attach to me, whether it be that I'm strong in my faith, whether it be that I truly believe the devil doesn't like competition and here I am, or, whatever. I don't suggest paranormal investigating when you're having a bad day or when you're going through some shit. Like, I just don't. That's one of my beliefs too.
I'm down for whatever. I'm one of those people. It's kind of like, I'm gonna catch a lot of heat and flack for saying.
I'll whoop a spirit's ass.
I'm
trying to tell you.
I'm gonna catch a lot of heat and flack, but it's kind of like a soldier that's going to war. You know what you signed up for. You know what you're getting into, and whatever happens is going to happen. It's the same thing with paranormal investigating. And those of you who are going to give me flack for saying this, remember I signed that dotted line at one time. So when I'm paranormal, anytime I go out to paranormal investigate, I'm prepared for whatever happens.
Preparedness.
I know that I'm taking a chance at the good, the bad, and the ugly to happen. So if I'm going to come up against something negative, I'm prepared, to the best of my knowledge, to deal with it, and I'm not going to fool with it. That's if it's something that I know is to be evil, or if I get an evil sense of something, am I going to necessarily run from it at first? Not necessarily, because there are spirits out there who pretend to be something they're not, which was what Daryl was mentioning as well. But as far as attachments goes, I think every seasoned investigator, and I'm not going to say professional because there are no professionals in this field.
I like the term seasoned.
When I say seasoned, mean you have experience in what you're doing, whether it be good experience or bad. You can do it wrong.
There's different levels to seasoned. You've got like the salt and pepper investigators.
And then you got the oregano.
Then you got like the oregano. Then you got like the garlic, salt, paprika, and all the different like smokehouse spices.
But what I will say is, I am prepared for whatever happens.
Yep.
That I know I'm aware of, and I'm prepared to deal with. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. If I get something happening, then I'm gonna have to deal with that. And I trust in my paranormal family that if something were to attach that I didn't know how to or want to get rid of, that I can call and reach out for help. That's the point of a tight-knit paranormal community.
I mean, if you get possessed and turn into like these exorcism movies, I cannot promise you that I won't shoot you.
If I do, man, I'm gonna make sure if
on
head
site
spins around, I'm gonna spit, throw up, and
on site. Look, here's the way that I operate,
it's going
guys.
everywhere,
ass
all over you,
ass, grass.
Wake up in the middle of the night,
ass, grass, or cash. Nobody rides for free.
Free?
Nobody rides for free.
For free.
Like, not even spirits. Like, gas is way too high. I done drove 2.5 hours to this investigation. You guys are not jumping in my car. There's not enough room. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible for a negative, but from my experience in the years that I've been doing this, I have come across some negative entities, evil spirits, whatever you want to call them.
Mine is more
and I really feel like they're masking. Like, they're almost like trying to bully you into getting out of there. Daryl said I had to deal with something I brought home from St. Albans. Took me a bit to get rid of. Yes, we were talking about that. I mean, it does take you a bit to get rid of. I mean, it is, like I said, I am not saying I'm invincible. If I hold the mentality that a negative entity cannot attach to me, 1A, that settles my mind at the end of the day. And 2B, like, I really feel like prevent it or, hopefully slow it down a little bit. Attachments are very real. They are.
Yeah.
I've seen them. So, I mean, whether they're negative or not, we just learned our last podcast about the little 2-foot
the Ouija's, the
wedgies or whatever that can follow you around and steal your shit. Like, here I am, really honestly, like I had a nightmare that night after that podcast. For those that don't know, I literally reached out to the Soul Sisters and told them I had a freaking nightmare that a 2-foot shadow figure dressed like Santa Claus was stealing all my shit. No matter like how hard I was looking for the shit, I couldn't find it. This is like the worst dream ever. For those that don't know me, I put stuff places. I know where I put it. I can tell you where it is. And if it's not there, somebody in this house moved it, and everybody, like, you're gonna feel the wrath of Courtney. Like, I'm there. Yes, Daryl, the damn wedgies. It doesn't make me not want to stop or go back. And that's the key too. I mean, when you get an attachment, when you feel a negative presence, things like that, you always go. We also say this on all of our podcasts for, those that are just tuning in for the first time. Your intuition is key. Your intuition is key. If something doesn't feel right, if something feels off and you feel like you need to get out, go.
Yeah.
I tell the seatbelt story all the time. If there's any cops listening, plug your ears, but I don't wear my seatbelt. But if you ever are riding with me and you see me put my seatbelt on, you need to buckle up because something's not right. Intuition is very real, and we've got to all get into tune with that portion. If something does not feel right, I'm out. I'm leaving. I don't care if I drove 6 hours to the investigation. If it does not feel right and I am not comfortable, 1A, I'm not going to be able to properly investigate. 2B, I'm going to have a negative attitude, which is going to ultimately impact the team I'm around. And 3C, I'm not going to feel safe. I'm going to be on edge the entire time. And that's not good for anybody's mental health. Ronnie, no, don't put that shit in my head, man. Don't put that shit in my head, because if I have a nightmare tonight and it's dressed like the Grinch, I'm done. I'm coming for you.
I'm going to the store and buying one and sitting beside her.
I swear to God. But like the thing was, it wasn't scary in my dream. It just kept hiding. It kept stealing my stuff. And like, they were really fast in my dream. Like I couldn't catch them. Like they would take something I needed, like my glasses.
You ran and dove on it.
I was trying, but I couldn't catch them. It was terrible. This dream was terrible, you guys.
It was just
it was terrible. Like they would take something that I needed. Like they would take my phone and run in my dream, and like I could not catch them. No matter how fast I was running, I could not catch them, and it was just gone. They were just stealing everything.
Go to sleep with the REM pod beside your head.
I might. No, because if that goes off in the middle of the night, you ever heard of the term shadow boxing? That's where it came from.
Shadow boxing?
Yeah, I'm gonna be fighting something I can't see.
You do that anyway.
It's going to be you.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, we did not get to all of our topics tonight, but that does not mean this is our last podcast. I do want to have another open discussion about pareidolia. We're running out of time now, but I do think that is definitely going to be an excellent topic. Next week, we are welcoming back the haunting angels. So maybe we can bring that topic up with them. I think that'll be a good one.
Maybe we could add another day to our podcast. Do an open discussion. So it's not just teens.
Maybe.
Y'all can leave us a comment or put a comment on our page if y'all feel like we should do more open discussions.
Or if you want to jump into our open discussion, like feel free. Like we can send you an invite. We can jump on and have a whole open discussion.
Yeah, I like the open discussions. I like getting other people's input on stuff like this. The number one, you learn, but number two, get other people's perspective. Whether we agree or disagree, I love hearing opinions. Opinions matter to me.
Yeah, I would invite Ronnie Anderson, but he only talks in an indoor voice.
Yeah.
Wink, wink at Daryl.
You have to cut your volume all the way up.
I'm just messing with you, Ronnie.
He says some good shit, but you can't hear.
But yeah, I mean, please let us know in the comments. If you want us to add another day for, part 2 and talk about pareidolia, we can. If you want to hear us talk with another team about it, we can as well. Either way, our next open discussion, if we do not talk about it before then, will be starting off with pareidolia. the zoomed in pictures with the red circle, because it's only paranormal if it has
a red
circle.
And it says, look here, see the face.
But for those of you that don't follow us on Facebook, we are Hill City Paranormal. On TikTok, @ Hill City Ghosts. That's plural. If you have any further questions or comments or anything and you want to get in touch with us, feel free to send us a DM, or you can send us an email, hillcityghosts@gmail.com. We're here every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And next Tuesday, we will be welcoming back
send us all your paranormal equipment.
the Haunting Angels. We're going to start a GoFundMe for Sean for paranormal equipment. You don't need any more.
Yeah, dude.
No, you don't. You're going to end up like Ronnie with a whole trailer full.
I'm almost there.
Lord. For those that don't know, I'm Courtney.
I'm Sean.
We're Hill City Paranormal. And thanks again, as always, because of you, this is why we keep doing it. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.